We have a PS5 in front of us here today. This one has the infamous PS5 game overheating shutdown. And as you can see here, the liquid metal is not on the frame in the right spot. And it's also not on the APU in the right spot. It's all sitting at the bottom. And you can see that there's a bare spot, and that's straight metal to metal contact. And that's what's causing that issue. I'm going to show you how to fix that. So in the past I have tried to fix this issue, and what I found out works best is to use a syringe and suck all of the liquid metal up and place it on one or the other. So you can either start with the APU, place it on here, or start with this one and place it on the APU. But you just want to suck all of the liquid metal up, that way you can reuse it. And I have tried just spreading the liquid metal back out, but it does not work. People always run into the same problem eventually. And the reason for that is because this liquid metal separates from a fog that is created behind the liquid metal on both the APU and the frame. And that's what causes the overheating. So you can spread it out. It may help the problem. Most of the time it will not help the problem. So we're just going to go ahead and take as much of this as we can. So you definitely don't want to waste this. This stuff is expensive compared to old thermal pastes. So we're going to go ahead and get all this pulled in here. And now that we've got a good majority of it, we're just going to go ahead and use alcohol to clean that off. We want to make sure it does not get further outside of the range than what it is here, because you don't want it to spread and end up getting on the motherboard somewhere. We're going to go ahead and clean that. You just put some alcohol on here. You just want to keep it all towards the center here. Now we're just going to take the majority of it off the top as well. And I'm pretty sure that you could reuse, so it leaves like these little balls here. I'm pretty sure you can reuse that, even if alcohol touches it. However, I don't like to do that. I think that in some ways or another it may not help this issue. Alright, so now that we have a majority of that off, we're just going to get the little stuff all around the side. You don't want to leave it anywhere around the side, and you definitely don't want to leave it in the little crevices, because if you leave it in the crevices, what will happen is over time it will end up collecting again at the bottom there. So let's get all of that. Now that we have all of that off, we can go ahead and use the other side of the Q-tip to clean it and get that weird fog off. So there's like a fog almost underneath where the liquid metal was, and we just need to clean it all off. And once that happens, we can go ahead and, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually disassemble the entire PlayStation to clean it out as well, because there's a lot of hair and stuff in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble the rest of this, clean it out, and then I'll show you what I do with the liquid metal. Alright, so here's the frame side. As you can see, it's really clean. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this liquid metal and we're gonna put it on here and we're gonna evenly distribute it. Once we do that, we'll do the same thing to this. Alright, this is that weird fog that I was telling you about. So as you can see, it's definitely in the affected area there. So you see where it's shiny around it, and right where all of the liquid metal was separated from is where most of that fog is. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that fog off. This is what the APU should look like. So as you can see, there is damage from the PS5 overheating right there. Those marks cannot be removed. However, you can see now how shiny it is, and that is exactly how you want it to be, because again, that fog is what creates the overheating issue. So we're going to go ahead and put the liquid thermal on there, spread it out, and then we're going to put it back together. Alright, now we have it spread out, both on the frame and here on the APU, and this is how it should look. A nice layer. It doesn't have to be perfect, however, you do want it to be layered out nicely like this. Now we're going to put these two pieces back together and I'll show you what's next. This is the next step to prevent overheating, and that is to take each one of these off. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take those off, and once you have them off, you want to ball them up and just stick them in the according places as to where they came off from, because each one of these helps transfer heat better throughout the system so that it won't overheat. And as you can see here, there is none left on any of these pads, and it's all on this metal plate here, which is not good. You want it to stick to both sides. So we're going to go ahead and ball all of this up. Alright. And then once we have these ones all balled up, we're going to do the same thing to the top ones, and I'll show you what we do for this rail down here. Now when you go to screw it on, it will be tighter. You'll have to screw it down, and as you screw it down, it'll smush each one of these. It's not going to hurt anything. Alright, now we need to do the same thing to these pads here. There's 3 up here, and then there's one small one right here. And you just want to loop it up nice and good. Make sure that it's sitting there. You can kind of push it down in order to keep it in place. Now those ones are good, so you got these 4 right here. And we're just going to go ahead and ball those up as well. And we're going to place them on top of each one of these. I think they're coils, yeah. And the strange thing about this is there's only 4 that have this, whereas all of them have a connection with the frame. So what we need to do is just take a little bit from the section here. Don't scrape too hard because you don't want to break any components off. And just from the sides over here, you take each one of those, and you can take a little bit from each side. There we are. Now that you have that, we're going to go ahead and put this back on and screw it down so it will sit a little bit higher now that those are up like that. But we just want to make sure that we put this on straight. Now I'm going to go ahead and screw this down. Alright, so the next step in getting your PlayStation 5 to stop overheating is to go into the settings up there. Once you're in the settings, you're gonna have to go down to, system, and in system, go to HDMI and disable this. And just as a precaution, sometimes I disable this as well. You'll have to turn that back on to like use the YouTube or anything like that. But now that we have those off, we're going to go ahead and go into power saving. Set time until rest mode. You want to turn that off. And while playing games, you want to turn that off. Let's see. So now rest mode is off. And the HDMI has been changed. You always want to make sure that you have the latest software S2, which is just right in here. But we're not going to worry about that right now. If any of this persists past what I've just shown you, you're going to have to reset the entire PS5. Just keep your information written down before you reset it so you can get right back in. But you will have to reset the entire PS5 if the overheating persists. However, the air coming out of it still feels really cool. It's not overheating at all, and it's not causing any issues. I'm going to go ahead and play a PS5 game for a little bit and make sure that it's good. If it's good, then I'll call the customer. Also going to play on my really cool controller here, which you can find in our shop at reaperselectronics.com. Thanks for watching, and I hope that this helps you.